love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, just don't stop. To my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Start Sit live stream for Week 2 in the NFL. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me is Andrew Erickson, hanging out here and answering some questions for everybody. So if you've got questions, make sure you drop them in the chat. That's where you are. And remember, you can't drop a question in the chat unless you're a subscriber of Fantasy Pros. So what are you doing? Go subscribe to Fantasy Pros. Click that little bell till it goes ding, and we'll answer your questions. Andrew, I know we got the pod coming up right after this. It's good to see you. How do you feel about some of the start-sit questions that have been going on? Who's the most popular guy that you've been asked about so far in the last few days?
I know I've gotten a lot of questions about like Allen Robinson, as a polarizing player after he basically kind of ghosted last Thursday night. So he's a player that people are wondering about. And a lot of people are just asking about, these waiver wire players, players that, we've gone through our first waiver wire period. So now you added this new talent to your roster and you're trying to weigh, okay, do I start Jeff Wilson or do I start the running back that I actually drafted? So I think those are important questions, and I hope that we'll talk about some of those guys here today and also on the podcast. So those are some guys that kind of come to mind. Curtis Samuel, another player. Julio Jones, another guy that people are wondering about because it seems like his opportunity is just continuing to look better and better in this Bucs pass game.
Getting a lot of CeeDee Lamb questions, too. I assume you are as well. So
Yes.
Right now, that is a very difficult one. To me, he's like a low-end wide receiver 2 right now in my mind. Do you have him kind of similar in your board?
Yep. Yeah. So he's right now wide receiver in half PPR. He's wide receiver 22. And actually, I completed a trade earlier today. I traded CeeDee Lamb for Courtland Sutton, and I feel great about it.
That sounds good. I might go see if I can trade my one share of CeeDee Lamb for Courtland Sutton myself. As soon as the show is over, let's help you guys out. Let's get your questions. Let's go to Seek Gold. Should I start Rashad Bateman, Darrell Henderson, or Penny in the flex? Seek didn't give us a format here, but Bateman, got a tough matchup here. Henderson certainly got a lot of the workload, and then there's Penny, who, we saw last year have his run, and this year, seems to have his run of the backfield yet again. But who would you start out of these three guys?
I think for me, it's Darrell Henderson. I just look, I thought Akers would be the guy here, but on Thursday night, we saw it be Darrell Henderson. And this Rams backfield is a 1 RB, that's the role. So if Darrell Henderson is their guy, that he's going to get the snaps and the routes and the touches in the offense, and Akers probably isn't going to play that much as long as they continue to operate in this fashion. So there's no reason for me to think that's going to be anything else otherwise until we see it actually play out. So I'd hate to get tricked again, but I mean, we saw Henderson in this bell cow role last year at times, and he was fine. He was serviceable. So for me, it's Henderson. Penny's playing the 49ers run defense, which I don't want to play running backs against their really fierce front. I feel like it's going to present a lot of problems for the Seahawks offense as a whole. And then, like you mentioned with Bateman, a bit of a tougher matchup. And Bateman still, he got there last week because of the long touchdown, but I don't think Bateman has really entered into like, oh, you have to start this guy every single week. I don't think he's there quite yet. He's still obviously someone you want to hold on to, and you're happy he caught the touchdown last week. But I think just looking at the volume for Henderson, I think that he's probably the guy for me.
All right, let's go to the next question here from J. Underscore 90. Brandon Aiyuk or Chase Edmonds at the flex for you this week?
I'm going Brandon Aiyuk. I mean, he was operating as the number one wide receiver last week in the Chicago monsoon swamp, whatever you want to call it, because they're going to have to move Debo more into the backfield because of the injury to Elijah Mitchell. So Debo is going to be more operating as a running back and wide receiver. So that put Aiyuk's in the wide receiver one, like traditional role. And so far, George Kittle is still not like practicing. Like we don't have any confirmation he's going to be ready to go, which means Aiyuk by default now becomes the number one target in the passing game. So I like that a lot. Edmonds, I think, probably has like a safer floor, but with some of these flex plays, I want to shoot for upside, and I think Aiyuk has that.
I think the temptation is to go with the quote touches unquote for Edmonds, but look, he didn't look great out of the gate in this first game. Let's see what we get out of Aiyuk because I don't think we got any indication whatsoever from that game what the 49ers offense is. Saul Moreno, hi, Higbee or Goedert as the flex option, full PPR. I mean, this shouldn't even be a question, should it? It's got to be Goedert.
Yeah, it's Goedert for me. Yeah.
Okay. That's almost a bro. I don't want to give him a bro this early in the show. It's only 12:38 on the East Coast. I gotta, ease into things. But no, Tyler Higbee, no. Now, RP Ever, Ertz or Gerald Everett. I know a lot of people are high on Everett right now as a streaming option, but are we putting him over Ertz? If you're going to, you have to do that tonight because Everett plays in tonight's game. But what are your thoughts on this one? Would you start Everett tonight, take your points, or would you wait and hope that everything's okay with Ertz and he has a little bit of an upstep from his performance on Sunday?
I think I'll go with Everett here, and it's because I view them pretty closely. Both of them got there last week because they both caught touchdowns. Like that's kind of what you're just hoping for, and both guys are playing in games this week that you should see some high scoring. Like you should see a lot of high scores. But Ertz is obviously the one that's dealing with a injury coming into the year, and Everett is going to benefit from Keenan Allen not being active. So I think those things in itself kind of make me lean towards Everett. And I also kind of like playing a guy earlier in the week if everything else is pretty close, because if Everett bombs, okay, then you need to chase more upside with the rest of your lineup. Where if Everett has a really strong game, you can then play it safe. So going into the weekend with more information based on how Everett plays, I think is the right move.
All right, let's move on to Cowboys choke. And choke, by the way, is in all capital letters, in case you're wondering. A.J. Dillon or Najee Harris? I know everyone's a little concerned with Najee's health, but are we concerned enough to drop all the way down to A.J. Dillon in this game, even though the matchup is very tempting against the Bears?
I think I'm just going to go with Najee here. I mean, I know the touches weren't there last week, but if he's out there, he's going to be getting the volume. So I'm going to go with that. He's still going to be involved in the passing game. He still had 3 goal line carries. Like a lot of people wouldn't be as down on him as if he didn't score when he had goal line carries last week, and he just didn't convert any of them. So I would still go with Najee.
Yeah, you got to go with your number one pick. I'd still like to put A.J. Dillon in my lineup, though, Cowboys choke, for what it's worth. So I still think he's a very good flex play today, depending on, what you've got situation-wise in your lineup. We'll do one more here real quick. Joseph Navarro, Alan Lazard, or Alec Pierce. Dameon Pierce, I believe is the Pierce he's asking about, in half-point PPR. So, look, to me, if Lazard steps on that field, I want Lazard because Aaron Rodgers made it pretty clear that he is not happy with anybody. And Lazard, maybe at least he's not mad at yet. Is that a good estimation?
Well, it's funny because Alan Lazard was one of the biggest winners from week 1 because everyone else in Green Bay basically just was a loser, basically. So by default, Lazard was like a winner, and he's kind of like a forgotten man because he didn't play and how bad the Packers were. But, Joe, we see this all the time. Like Aaron Rodgers comes out week 1. He sucks. Everyone tells the Packers they're horrible. And he's going to go out, against the Bears and throw 5 touchdowns. Like, that's just what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. That's why I'm trying to make sure I'm ranking him above ECR because I just know that Rodgers is going to have a good week this week because that's just what he does. And especially if Lazard is on the field, I would expect Lazard to be the number 1 target based on what we saw from last week and possibly catch a touchdown or 2. So Lazard definitely for me.
All right, we want everybody to hang out and play more games with us and have some fun because obviously you have all the fun with your football teams, but we want you to have fun playing our Discord touchdown contest. Now, if you join our Discord at fantasypros.com/chat, you can enter into our monthly contest if you're a premium member. So what we're doing is weekly we're giving away little shop prizes to Fantasy Pros, but monthly we're giving away items as well as a grand prize at the end for the overall winner. And that is super cool because the grand prize obviously going to be from Pristine Auction and our monthly prizes as well. So this month we're handing out an autographed Stephon Diggs Buffalo Bills jersey. And remember, this contest is only available for the premium users. So sign up today on our Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. If you're looking to upgrade, you can go upgrade at fantasypros.com/offers. Use that website, do that, make a small deposit in one of our partner sites. Then you get your 6 months Fantasy Pros premium package. Then you go join the Discord, and then you come play with us in the touchdown chat. In fact, we've also got the winner from last week. It was quite a barn burner. Casasesa ended up winning, beat GC Hirsch 17. They were both tied, but the tiebreaker went to Casasesa. That's the only way I could say it. I have to say it in that voice. Otherwise, I will not be able to say that name. So congratulations to Casasesa for winning week 1. And it's a fun thing. So basically, all the rules are in there. You go check it out. It's free to play, but obviously you have to be a premium member. Speaking of our members and our friends, let's go back to your questions here and let's talk about, let's see, who do we have? We have Eric Fountain. Eric Fountain is pouring all over us with questions. Am I crazy to start Josh Palmer tonight? Well, it depends. Over who? I think that's the question. Let's try to just break it down here so we can give him some insight here. Palmer to me is more of a desperation play right now. Where do you have Palmer in your rankings, and who would you consider starting him over just to get kind of a watermark, as you were, of who we like better than Palmer or worse than Palmer?
Yeah, I'm pretty aggressively ranking Josh Palmer because I just liked him a lot, like entering this offseason. If you guys were following us during the summer, like Josh Palmer was one of my like sleeper guys that I liked a lot because I liked the intrinsic upside he had if there was an injury to Keenan Allen or Mike Williams. And what do you know? We're in week 2 and there's already an injury to Keenan Allen. So that's going to thrust Josh Palmer into the starting role. I think he's going to see a lot of favorable matchups from the slot. Now, he didn't do a lot last week because the Chargers really kind of spread things out. Like no one had more than 4 targets last week because they just spread the ball out. But I think that with the game plan in mind going into this week, knowing that Josh Palmer is going to have a bigger role, I think that he's someone that I would look at as a flex option as a wide receiver 3. So I have him right now as wide receiver 35. Like, I think that that's pretty aggressive. I like him more than Amari Cooper. Like, basically, I'm starting him over guys that I'm still waiting on them to prove it to me in some way, shape, or form. So Amari Cooper, like, he got out targeted by Donovan Peoples-Jones last week, and Jacoby Brissett is his quarterback. Like, I need to see him do something first under these circumstances before I put him in my starting lineup. You know, a guy like Devonta Smith for the Eagles, he went out there, played with AJ Brown, never heard from again. Like, we saw nothing from Devonta Smith, and why would that change? You know, why is Jalen Hurts going to stop throwing the ball to AJ Brown?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. So
Yeah, that's
Devonta
fair.
Smith has to prove it to me. Whereas I've seen Josh Palmer play in this situation before with Justin Herbert as his quarterback, without one of the top guys in this offense, and get targeted and be productive. So I feel pretty good about him, you know, in the wide receiver 36 to wide receiver 40 range. And those are some guys that I think that you could probably start over.
Palmer in the ECR over on Fantasy Pros is at wide receiver 47 right now. Curtis Samuel is over him. DJ Chark is over him. Jahan Dotson over him. And all the guys that Andrew just mentioned, as well as Devontae Smith and Cooper. Guys like Tyler Lockett, Tyler Boyd, Chase Claypool. All the guys basically that have done nothing so far in that late 30 range. And then there's Palmer. And I'm fine with that. Like, if you want to roll the dice tonight and see what you get with Palmer, I'm okay with that. I don't think he's starting over Julio Jones. I don't think I'm starting over Hunter Renfrow. Adam Thielen. I'm not there with those guys yet, but I understand what Andrew's saying. I mean, if it's between him and Tyler Lockett or Tyler Boyd, I throw a dart over on Joshua Palmer and see if that works out. Let's go to a next question here. It's Tyler Berkeley wants to know, Courtland Sutton or Jeffrey Wilson Jr. in the half PPR. Do I even need to ask you here, Andrew Erickson?
I'm starting Courtland Sutton. Look, I get Jeff Wilson is someone, you know, that people are going to have questions about, but like, you know, remember Elijah Mitchell, what were we ranking Elijah Mitchell as? We were ranking him as like a back end RB2 for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff Wilson is worse than Elijah Mitchell. So you kind of have to keep that in perspective with Wilson, that, you know, he's like RB 24, 27. Like, that's the range he's kind of viewed at. And where Courtland Sutton, I mean, he was a top 20 wide receiver consensus across the board. So kind of keep that in mind when you're looking at Jeff Wilson versus these other guys, where yeah, Jeff Wilson is fine. Like he's fine. And if you got him, like you can use him as your RB2 if you have an injury or you're hurting at the position, but don't start him over these wide receivers that you know are way more established, just better assets to have on your team. So I'm going to go with Sutton.
I'm not 100% sure that Eli Mitchell's that much better than Jeffrey Wilson Jr. Just saying. I've seen some Jeffrey Wilson Jr. splash games before. I remember one against our Patriots.
Yeah, the 3 touchdown game.
Yeah, this whole like Eli Mitchell's so much better. Remember, Eli Mitchell got the backfield last year to start because Trey Sermon was bad and Jeffrey Wilson Jr. was hurt. So just want to throw that out there. I don't know if he's worse, but I agree. It's Sutton all the way. It's good that you have Wilson. Raul F wants to know Allen Robinson or Kareem Hunt in the half PPR. I'm going Kareem Hunt here. Like, let Allen Robinson show you something. That's where I'm at. Where are you at, Andrew?
No, I agree. And we're going to talk about Allen Robinson on the show a little bit later on the podcast.
Nice
nice teaser there. But no, yeah. Kareem Hunt. I mean, why do we need to be convinced about Kareem Hunt?
I don't know. Why does everyone hate Kareem Hunt?
All he does is score touchdowns and catch passes. And then Nick Chubb.
I don't care for that. I don't care for all these fantasy points that Kareem Hunt wants to give me. I like Allen Robinson. He was really good with Blake Bortles a long time ago.
Like, Joe, I gotta tell you, like, when I was watching NFL Red Zone this past weekend, I'm like, is Nick Chubb hurt right now? Like, because all I see is these Kareem Hunt highlights left and right. And I look at the box score, I'm like, oh, wait, Nick Chubb already has 100 rushing yards. He's just so efficient that they don't even show him on Red Zone. And they use Kareem Hunt in the red zone a ton. Like, all that Kareem Hunt does is get the high value touches in the Browns offense. Last year, when he was healthy, he was a top 10 running back. And so far this year, he's just doing what he did last year, being a top 10 running back. So just keep playing him.
I think we finally hit our first bro question. Jim Dawson gave it to us. Patrick Mahomes or Justin Fields? Bro.
Jim, come on, man. Is this a Bears homer? Come on. You got to go with Mahomes.
Bro. Seriously, bro? Patrick Mahomes or bro. Next question. Mitchell, Tyreek Hill or Jaylen Waddle? Now, this one I understand. I think it's unfortunate that you drafted both of these guys on the same team because I think this will be a weekly problem. I don't know why you're sitting either of them. I would have both these guys in my lineup. The problem is
it's the rare 16-team league with just 16
maybe
teams.
Okay, but here's the thing: like these guys are both startable. If you had to only pick one, I think you look at the rest of your lineup and you say, okay, do I need the upside of Tyreek Hill or do I need the floor of Jaylen Waddle? It's not a great matchup. We all know that. I mean, I think that's my bigger concern is the matchup itself is not great this week. It's a good secondary in Baltimore. So what do you make of these two? If you had to only pick one, who would it be?
I mean, I'm going with Tyreek Hill. I mean, you mentioned the floor with Waddle, but last week, I mean, Tyreek Hill was the one getting all the targets. Like he had, a north of a 35% target share last week. If Waddle doesn't score that big touchdown, then Waddle kind of would have disappointed a little bit.
He did finish as wide receiver 15. I don't want to poo-poo
Jaylen
Waddle.
Well, he had a 42-yard touchdown. Like on one play.
Good players do that. Oh, I mean, Tyreek Hill had wide receiver finished 21. So I understand, like, I get it. You're right. The target share was there. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Looking at that, I think it's very close. I think you look at the rest of your lineup personally. So
I would go with Tyreek Hill.
All right. Noah Emmerling is asking a question. He's got lots of fire things too. So he's got a lot of fire going on. So it's supposed to be a hot question. Need to bench one. Alvin Kamara. I don't want to bench him. AJ Dillon. I don't want to bench him. CEH or Antonio Gibson. So for me, it's between Gibson and CEH. Andrew, do you see this differently? And if so, who's the odd man out?
No, I agree. It's between those two, and I'm going to bench CEH.
Yeah, I would agree. 2 for 2. Let's go with Antonio Gibson. Had a good game. Kyle G. Etienne or Robert Woods? I'm going right back to the Etienne well. I mean, this gives this guy a break. He hasn't played a game in a year, right?
He hasn't played a game in a while, and I mean, he got good opportunities. He just didn't cash in. Like, I mean, if he had just caught the touchdown, nobody would be like, "Oh my God, Etienne, he's horrible." Like, come on, you gotta, I get the drop was horrible because it literally hit him and then he like slammed the ball on the ground. So you're like, okay, come on, Travis, like soft hands, baby. Come on. You're like the catching a baby. But Robert Woods, he had 2 targets last week. Yeah. He got outproduced by Kyle Phillips and Treylon Burks, who played significantly less snaps than Robert Woods did. So Etienne all the way.
JNC Outdoors, my favorite place to get all of my outdoor things for camping. JNC Outdoors wants to know Aiyuk or Curtis Samuel. This one's pretty close in the ECR. So if you had to roll your dice here with one of these two, who's it going to be? Curtis Samuel did get a lot of attention in that game last week.
Yeah, no, Curtis Samuel definitely got a lot of opportunities, but the yardage I mean, you look at the yardage from the two guys. Aiyuk almost matched Curtis Samuel's yardage.
It's true.
He only had 3 touches. Curtis Samuel had 15, 15 opportunities last week. So I think Aiyuk in non, stormy conditions, I think Aiyuk is going to run circles around from a receiving yards production than Samuel. Samuel might get more opportunities, but I like the upside with Aiyuk, especially if George Kittle is out. Like, it's just going to concentrate
Right.
so much of that passing game
That's a
around
great
Brandon
point.
Aiyuk.
If Kittle's out, Ayuk becomes a little bit, I think, safer in that
Yep.
sense. I like Samuel. I think he's worthy of the start. I think it is very close. It's a good one. I'm with Andrew. It's Ayuk, especially if Kittle is out. All right, let's take a quick break in the action and to tell you about a jersey we're giving away right here on our YouTube channel. That's right. We are giving away a signed DJ Moore Carolina Panthers jersey, courtesy of our dear, dear friends at pristineauction.com. You need to subscribe to Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. Right now. You got to be a subscriber. Comment below on this video. Ask a question, whatever. Talk about how good Andrew's hair looks today. Something. That's it. That's all you got to do. And then possibly you can win a DJ Moore autographed jersey. We'll be announcing the winner right here on the channel at some point. So make sure you turn on those notifications until it goes ding. Click that little bell so you're alerted when new episodes drop. And you can claim your prize. That DJ Moore jersey is not going to give away itself, boys and girls. So go get it. All right, let's go to more of your questions. Here's one from Dominique Harris. Joe Burrow or Carson Wentz this weekend? I understand Wentz had a very good first week, and I understand Joe Burrow threw a lot of picks. I don't know how you don't start Joe Burrow this week. I really don't. I mean, he's going against the Cowboys. I can't imagine that offense being any good, which means that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to get a few more opportunities than maybe they deserve. I'm going with Burrow here, and it's not even close for me. But Andrew, maybe you see this differently.
No, I'm going with Joe Burrow too. I
Okay.
mean, I ranked Burrow pretty low to like open the week, and then I just kind of was like, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I need to just move him back up. We kind of get sometimes trapped in like the waiver wire quarterbacks where we want to pick them up. So I'm not sure if this person has these guys both on his roster. Like, don't have the problem of having an extra quarterback. Just drop Wentz and pick up another running back or wide receiver. Like, you don't need to have, because that way you don't have to make these decisions. You just start Burrow. That's the guy you drafted, and I think that's the guy you should roll with.
All right, and Dominique, if it's she, then it's she, it's he. Dominique could be either, so we're just saying, don't get mad if we say he or she. So I'm just putting it out there. That's Dominique's question. So Dominique, hope you got your answer there, but you got to start Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, by the way, in DFS, don't forget about him this week too. I love him in DFS this week because people are going to be off him. Beth Tang Singh would like to know PPR Mike Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown for the flex. Ooh, this is a tricky one that Beth's throwing at us because Amon-Ra's been so good. Andrew, I love Mike Williams. You know me. I'm the biggest Mike Williams dude there is. But the Amon-Ra St. Brown makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I'm going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, take the points, and hope that Mike Williams has a great game, and then I can feel good about everything going forward. How do you address these two?
Yeah, it's definitely a floor versus ceiling type of play where, St. Brown, you're going to get the points no matter what. But I mean, if you can't start Mike Williams with Keenan Allen not playing, then like why is he on your roster? Like, these are the games where he has to blow up in. So I'm going with Mike Williams here.
I'd be starting both of these guys, Beth. So I would find a way. I don't know who your flex like it's for their flex position. So there must be like a 2 wide receiver league would be my guess. This is a situation like a shallow league. But I mean, I'd be starting both of these guys this week. So, but take the points, leave the cannolis. That's good advice. That's from the Godfather. Sean Fuller wants to know full PPR, Palmer, Curtis Samuel, or Aiyuk for the flex. Lots of Aiyuk and Samuel questions in Palmer today. I knew this was going to be that kind of show. So this is a good one. So here we go, right back to the well. So is it Palmer for you over those guys, or is Aiyuk higher than Palmer for you?
Aiyuk's higher for me. And I think too,
Okay.
with these receiver questions, I know we're trying to like parse through like the opportunities, the volume they're going to get, the matchup. Just, you can take a step back and be like, who's the best wide receiver of these 3 guys? And for me, it's Brandon Aiyuk as the best
That's fair.
actual talent. And I think that helps me make
I guess
decisions
the
when things
struggle
are
is people
close.
look at Palmer and say he's got the best quarterback, and this could be a big matchup. The point total is high tonight. The problem is, like, you need to make this you can't wait for the Kittle health to figure out if you want to start Aiyuk. Like, you got to start Palmer now, or you're into the Samuel Aiyuk bin. I'm with Andrew. I think I try Aiyuk one more time and see how it goes. Jake V, full PPR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Antonio Gibson? I think we kind of answered that one in another one, but just to reiterate, Gibson, correct?
Yes, Gibson for me.
All right, Jennifer Farmer. I like all the ladies hanging out with us at lunch hour, asking the football questions. That's right. We want to help all the ladies embarrass all the dudes in the fantasy leagues. Let's go. Jennifer wants to know Anderson or Renfrow in the full PPR. Erickson, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Renfrow here. It's just a matchup that this Cardinals-Raiders game there should be just a ton of points. And I get that Renfrow is, Devontae Adams is going to get his and his like 15, 16,
He
17
sure
targets.
is.
But at the same time, like Renfrow at least showed last week he could still get targets. Like he still got 6 targets. He had 3 catches. Like, yeah, it's not a great, but let's say Adams gets 12 targets this week. Okay, then you're looking at Renfrow with now 8, 9 targets. And in a matchup where there's going to be a lot of points, that's where I'm going to lean towards. Whereas Robbie Anderson, if he doesn't catch that touchdown, we're not even talking about him this week at all as like a starter. So I'll go with Renfrow.
All right, fair enough. We also just got some injury news. Mac Jones with an illness, skipping practice today. So hopefully he feels better. I don't know what the illness is, but we'll keep an eye on it. Michael Dest has a question. Which 2 out of, guess who? Brandon Aiyuk, Carter, Edmonds, should I start in the flex full PPR? So you got Aiyuk, you got Carter, you got Edmonds. Who would you start? 2 out of the 3. So who's the odd man out? That's kind of it.
Probably Carter for me, just because he's on the worst offense and he has the least, starting role where he's like splitting with Breece Hall, whereas at least Edmonds is working ahead of Raheem Mostert pretty clearly.
Dallas Davis, Jeff Wilson, or Kareem Hunt in the full PPR. Again, Kareem Hunt getting no love. None in the full PPR even.
Everyone just hates Kareem Hunt. All he does is score fantasy points. So yeah, Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. Hey, look, it's not a knock on Wilson, but in the full PPR especially. Kyle Clark.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I mean, I don't know what more there is to say about it.
Well, the thing with Hunt is just like we have to get past the fact that he's like the second running back on his team. Like the Browns have 2 good players for fantasy, and they're their 2 running backs. Like
well, that's all they have.
Exactly.
Let's just say that is the offense.
Yes.
Okay. So everyone's getting. You're right. I think people are getting hung up on the. Oh my God, it's 2 running backs. Oh my God, that's the offense. The offense is those 2 running backs. Everything else is forget it. For the next 10 weeks, that's what it's going to be. Kyle Clark, DK Metcalf, or Devin Singletary in the flex in the half PPR. I know you're talking about upside. I just don't know how much upside either of these guys really have. I know one plays an offense with an actual quarterback, and the other plays with Geno Smith. So your thoughts?
I know Metcalf had 7 catches for like 35 yards.
7 catches for 8 yards. It was an incredible night.
I like Singletary a lot. I think Singletary is going to surprise people this week. You saw James Cook and Zach Moss both fumble in that Thursday night game. I think they're going to trust Singletary more than these other running backs. I don't think we're going to see this 3-headed committee like we saw on Thursday night. Are we going to see 6 targets for Zach Moss again? No. I think Singletary is going to take over this backfield, and that's the guy who I want.
I'm with you on Singletary. Next is Brian Freddy Krueger. He actually did the quotes in the name, so I'm just calling him how I see him here. Chase Edmonds or James Robinson at RB2 in the half PPR. James Robinson earned my respect last week. I would start Robinson, Erickson. How about you?
I still like Chase Edmonds.
Okay, so we're no help.
I think that the matchup is really tough against the Colts. They have a really good run defense. The Texans couldn't do anything against them on the ground last week. So we're talking about
Jack Leonard's not going to play in that game, though. I'm just telling you. Like, he ain't playing.
Well, he didn't play last week, and the Texans couldn't run the football, so...
Well, I think the Texans can't run the football because they're the Texans more than anything.
Also fair, but you also... I think that in a game where the Colts are definitely weaker against the pass, in my opinion, so I think that fits more of Etienne's strengths. So I like Etienne more than Robinson, so I think that's kind of why I lean towards Edmonds here.
Chase Edmonds doesn't have a picnic ahead of him for the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore either. Just want to throw that out there. Look, this is definitely close. I say Robinson. Andrew says Chase Edmonds. Now you have to go to Derek Brown for the tiebreaker. Big Smoke. Any news on Michael Pittman? Erickson, you and Michael Pittman are very close. You guys text today. Any information or updates on Pittman?
I have not seen anything else. I mean, I don't really pay too much attention to the Wednesday injury reports because there's a lot of guys that just don't practice because they're veteran rest days just to get ready for the year. So
right, a lot of that happens
for the week. So really, you got to pay attention on Thursday and Friday. Like that's when it matters. Basically, if it's a DNP on Friday, then they're most likely probably not going to play. But limited, as long as they're limited and on Thursday and Friday, they're usually good to go by Sunday.
Clark something, PPR, running back, and flex. Derrick Henry, Gibson. I mean, really? I mean, Derrick Henry's playing. I mean,
those are the 2 guys you start.
Yeah. I mean,
Henry
the rest is Sanders, Patterson. Because Henry and Gibson. Why is Henry even a question? I don't know.
No, I get that because people will just list out their teams. They'll be like, all right, so I have Dalvin Cook.
That's fine. But it gave the illusion that we're unsure about Derrick Henry. And I don't like to do, I'm not going to pull out the bro too many times, but you just watch it. You're on notice. Let's go to Jeremy Lyles next. David Montgomery or Miles Sanders this week at full PPR. Erickson, Sanders, or Montgomery? I think I go Sanders, believe it or not. Touchdown Miles Sanders. That's his new nickname.
Yeah, he finally scored. He got
He
some red
did.
zone touches. It
That's the
was
motivation of hating Mike Mayer. It is a real thing. My love-hate relationship with Mike Mayer has motivated me in my life to do many great things. So I love you,
yeah.
Mike. We're just joking around, guys.
I think I'd probably just go Miles Sanders too. I mean, you want to play Miles Sanders when he has good matchups and he's healthy. Like
Yeah,
these
nice
times don't
total in
come
this
around
game.
that
Let's go.
often. So I'll go Sanders.
Brian Blake, Ramondre Stevenson, or Rex Burkhead PPR. It's come to this already in week 2.
I'm going with Ramondre. Sorry.
Gonna die on the hill. I'm with you. I can't stomach the Burkhead. Jason McCullough, trade Akers for Jeffrey Wilson Jr. I'm okay with this. 2 months of Jeffrey Wilson. I'm good. I don't see anybody like coming in and swooping in right away and taking this role away from Wilson. Do you?
Unless he does something or the 49ers coaching staff just does what they always do and they just decide to put someone else in there. We're going to see Marlon Mack rush for 200 yards on Sunday, probably. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I think that makes the most sense, especially if you need immediate production. Like Akers is not going to give that to you right now. Jeff Wilson will give you production right now. So I think that's a fair trade based on what you need.
You know my big takeaway from this too, and I've been thinking about this, that Kareem Hunt is going to get traded in season this year. I feel that is a distinct
100%.
possibility. It seems since everybody hates Kareem Hunt so much that you all should go out there and make a trade for Kareem Hunt right now.
That is smart,
Today.
Joe.
This
People are not sure what to do with him. They're like,
nobody seems to know. I know what to do with him. I want him on my roster because the
Yes,
minute he gets traded to the 49ers or to the Rams or to somebody who's looking for an answer at running back, and he will be an answer for somebody, go get him now because everybody seems to be disenfranchised. I mean, I don't know what more that guy's got to do. Patrick Papalardo wants to know Juju Smith-Schuster or Judy in the flex in the half PPR. I understand the stress of this. Juju was solid. Judy was certainly solid. I'd go with Judy personally in the first home game for Denver. I think that's where I want to be in this one, but you got to make this decision soon because it's coming up pretty quick here. So where are you going, Judy or Juju?
I'm going with Juju, actually.
Okay.
I like Juju a lot. He showed out as the number 1 wide receiver for the Chiefs in week 1. It's a good matchup against the Chargers and high scoring offense. Like, until someone else in this Chiefs receiving core steps up and takes away targets that's not named Travis Kelce, then I'm going to continue to try to be high on Juju.
Fernando Echevarria from Panama would like to know T. Higgins with the concussion issue or Julio Jones. Look, I think Julio's in a great spot, especially with Lattimore and Evans' history there. He's looking for somebody else, and I think Julio is primed. I think this could be a really good game for Julio. So good that you might be able to trade him off of it and get something like more reliable for the rest of the season. Higgins with a concussion. He's a tough guy to take out, though. So how do you decide between these two? You going to go with the roll of the dice of Julio or just hope that the health of T. Higgins is there, and if he's healthy enough to play, that's good enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, if Higgins is healthy enough to play, I'm gonna play him. Like,
Okay.
we talk about health of players. Julio Jones has already been taking days off at practice. Like, Julio Jones is not going to make it through the entire season without missing a couple games. So he could get
I
hurt
tried to do that
too.
today. I tried to take off of a live stream, and Chris is like, "What are you doing? Get back in there. Grab your helmet." I
But
tried. It didn't
yeah, I'd
work.
go with Higgins though.
All right, fair enough. Let's hit another break here and tell you about my playbook. Look, I know week 1 is in the books, and I guarantee most of you are all sitting around going, "Oh, I forgot to do this and set this lineup on ESPN, and I got this other one on Sleeper, and I got this other one here," and you're trying to figure all this stuff. Listen, there's an easier way. It's manage all your fantasy football lineups and dominate your leagues with My Playbook from Fantasy Pros. My Playbook is a suite of powerful tools that will help you make better decisions, manage your lineups, set your lineups, look for trades, and win your leagues. It's created by the Fantasy Pros team, the number 1 sports advice and tools provider in the world. And this app will let you import your team to get custom fantasy football news, rankings, and analysis. So sync your leagues today at fantasypros.com/myplaybook or download directly My Playbook app to the Apple or Android store as well. Again, that's fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Make your life easier and make setting your lineups easier too. I'm telling you, everyone thinks, "Oh, no, it's fine. I can handle it." Then after week 1, it's chaos. And then you go, "Oh yeah, My Playbook sounds like a great idea," because it is. Cody Ledbetter wants to know Taysom Hill or Pat Fryermuth. I don't know. I'm not going to chase the Taysom Hill. Are you chasing the Taysom Hill?
Yeah, I mean, isn't he going to rush for like 70 yards every single week and score a
I only
touchdown?
assume.
I don't know why people are down on Freiermuth. Like, I guess that's my question. We see these tight ends all the time, produce with. This was the first game we saw with Trubisky, and one of his favorite targets was Pat Freiermuth. Freiermuth is a
He had
monster after
10
the
targets.
catch.
I don't know why people are down on him. I don't
Yeah,
get it.
and I mean, Joe, you know the Patriots. Who on the Patriots is going to be able to match up with Pat Freiermuth and actually take maybe Kyle Duggar, but like,
Maybe,
yeah, I
but not
like
in the red
Freiermuth.
zone. Like,
I
that's
like
the thing.
Freiermuth.
I like Freiermuth too. This isn't close for me. Edwin Marrero, Daryl Henderson, or Travis Etienne. I understand why this one's close for some people. Andrew, which way would you go? Would you go with Henderson in the better offense or Etienne in the pass catching ability?
I'm going with Henderson still.
Henderson still for you. John Robertson, is Mariota for real? No. There you go. That was fun.
We sometimes get tricked by this. If you think back to how the Saints have fared defensively against like mobile quarterbacks, they always lay eggs. Like, even
It's true.
Jalen Hurts first
It's true.
start. Their defense is not designed to stop mobile quarterbacks. It's designed to stop like Tom Brady. Like that's
Right.
really like what their defense is made around.
Well, they're an
So
older defense too, so they don't they don't like to
yeah,
chase.
exactly. Like they're not built to be fast and to do those certain types of things. So I think Mariota, yeah, he's gonna have because he does run, like he's gonna have games where he'll pop off here and there, but it's not going to be consistent. Like it's going to be very inconsistent. Like he's playing the Rams this week. Would it surprise me if he lays a dud? Not in the slightest. So I
I'll
would
tell
be
you, man.
hesitant to buy into Marcus Mariota.
This is the worst case scenario for Marcus Mariota, where he looked pretty good and Aaron Donald is coming off of a loss. Okay, Aaron Donald is going to make himself very acquainted with Marcus Mariota in this game. Aaron Donald is not afraid to run, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. Just throwing that out there. Let's go to another one of your questions. Again, if you've got questions, drop them here in the chat and subscribe to Fantasy Pros, because when you do, you have a chance to win that DJ Moore jersey we're giving away. So you want to get in on that bad boy. It's a good time. Look at that. Sky blue. It's so cool. Thanks to our friends at pristineauction.com. All you have to do is go ahead, drop a comment, be a subscriber, and then click that little bell for notifications so you know when the great content drops and when you can get notified that you won the damn thing, because it's cool. Look at DJ Moore. Hopefully DJ Moore has a better game than last week. That's another guy. Took more DJ Moore questions in the last 3 days than I have in 3 years. Anthony Ramos. I have CeeDee Lamb. I'm sorry, Anthony. Who is a good trade target for him? Courtland Sutton, you named. I love that one. Mike Williams, I imagine, in the next 3 hours would also be one. Anybody else come to mind? DJ Moore. Would you make that trade?
Yep, DJ Moore, I'd make that trade. Like you have to take out so basically we like the situation for CeeDee Lamb. Like that's why he was going where he was going. And we thought, with the talent entering year 3, he would take a step. Now you have to reset kind of expectations because now it's a bad offense. And we don't know what it's going to be like when Dak comes back. And we have to keep in mind that like Lamb hasn't taken that like massive leap as like an elite player himself. So who's the better player, DJ Moore or CeeDee Lamb? DJ Moore is the better wide receiver, in my opinion. It was the situation. I mean, if DJ Moore had been on Dallas, we would have been drafting him first over CeeDee Lamb. Like,
Fair.
I think that's a good question to kind of ask yourself. You just want to try to find a better real-life wide receiver than Lamb because the situation matters not as much because chances are you're trading him for a receiver that's also in a bad situation, like a Terry McLaurin, like a DJ Moore. Like, this is the tier that I'm kind of looking for. Or even a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like he's going to be
I would
so
take
more
him right now.
He's so much more consistent than Lamb is going to be. Even if Lamb has big weeks because he'll have like volume spikes, it's not going to be consistent.
Not for 6 weeks. He ain't having a volume spike. I can tell you that. And by 6 weeks, I mean he's already lost you 1 week, right? That's already one.
And he got the volume, and it didn't
And he
matter.
got the volume. And right. So I look, get out of the business, take what you can get. Those are all some good options.
Yeah.
Let's go to Corey Dismore, Michael Thomas, or Brandon Cooks. I know Thomas had the 2 touchdowns, so everyone's very excited. Cooks had a lot of action in that game, but you mentioned the tough matchup potentially. So what do you want to do? You want to go with Cooks or you want to go with Michael Thomas?
Yeah, I think both guys are kind of like both have pretty tough.
I have them so close. They're right neck and neck for me. They're like next to each other in rankings.
Tampa Bay's defense is legit. And I think Denver's defense poses problems for Houston. I mean, I'm not in love with Davis Mills particularly. So I have Thomas at 18 and Cooks at 20. So they're close for me too. I guess I'd lean on Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I would lean on Thomas as well. I'm glad that's where you landed because I think you take the game that could be more contested. Because I think in that game where it's more contested, you might have a shot that Michael Thomas kind of shows out a little bit. And they're very close for me, too. They're a couple spots away. All right, let's go to the next question here. And it's Jaden Butler, Elijah Moore, or Jarvis Landry in PPR. So Jaden's got a tough one here. Landry had a nice game last week. Elijah Moore didn't quite have any splash plays. That's what we're looking for with him. But I feel like that's the worst, right? You feel like he didn't have it last week. So if you sit him this week, he's going to have it. And then you're going to be pissed off. Is that the fear, the trap that is Elijah Moore?
I think so a little bit. I mean, the Jets are going to jet. It's going to be tough every single week with them. But I don't expect Corey Davis to be the team's leading receiver, every single week. Elijah Moore played the most snaps, ran the most routes. So I think the better days are ahead for him. I think he's just a really talented player. So I'm going to go with Elijah Moore.
Brooke S. wants to know Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins. I got to lean towards Cousins a little bit here. As much as I love Carr, this matchup with the Eagles, I think, has real potential where they can go get it again. And Jefferson's just going to just carry Kirk Cousins to, I think, top 10 quarterback status by the time the year is over. I really do. What are your thoughts, though? Because this one's very close.
Yeah, I got him ranked back to back. I have Derek Carr one spot ahead of Kirk Cousins, and it's because he's at home and Arizona's secondary is so bad. It is Devontae Adams, I don't know what they're gonna do to try to stop that guy. I don't know.
Do you remember all the way back in August when we had these conversations about Devontae Adams and all the unknown about? So many people were saying about, well, I don't know what to think. How about now? Is he still the best wide receiver in football or in that conversation? Yeah, I think he is. I had a team with him and Jamar Chase last week that lost. Somebody tell me how that happened. I don't know.
Wow.
All right, let's go to the next one here. NSA Lacrosse, Aiyuk or the Lizard King? Here we go. Aiyuk. I assume that's Alan Lazard. Is that what the kids are saying?
I hope it's not Sammy Watkins, but no, I would go with Lazard.
Sammy Watkins. I would go with Lazard too, if he's healthy enough to play. Wyatt Dishler, wide receiver 3 PPR. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods. We can drop Woods out of this conversation.
Yes.
Cooks, Lamb, who you got? I know.
Man, it's tough.
I think it's Cooks. I think this is hard times.
Lamb has got to show me that he can. He got volume last week. He did nothing with it. Cooks, at least is going to get volume and be productive. That's all Cooks does is just be this underrated wide receiver that just puts up stats.
I've got Cooks over Lamb, dude. I've got him in a few spots.
Yeah, I got Cooks ranked ahead of him, so I'll go with my rankings.
There you have it. Look at this. Look. Wow, what a weird world we live in where week 2 we were like, yep, Brandon Cooks over CeeDee Lamb. Yeah, let's do that. Anonymous wants to know Singletary, Breece Hall, or Rex Burkhead in the PPR. You were pro Singletary before. Is that over Hall as well?
Yep. Yeah, I like Singletary still. I just think he's gonna get the work here.
Will he get a score? Probably. Is there gonna be a lot of scoring in that game? Probably. It's the Bills. Marcus Everett, full PPR. Robbie Anderson or Darnell Mooney. I can understand the concern with Mooney this week, but is it enough to go and roll the dice with Robbie Anderson 2 weeks in a row?
I find it skeptical that Robbie Anderson is going to, because if he doesn't catch that touchdown, no one is talking about him at all.
Yes, he made the play. But that's Baker Mayfield's MO. Taking unnecessary shots deep, throwing footballs that he shouldn't throw necessarily. And that is right up Robbie Anderson's alley. I'm just saying that's the one difference about Robbie Anderson now that's always been true. But it's one thing where we're talking about Sam Darnold throwing the football. It's another thing to talk about Baker Mayfield throwing the football, who throws a good deep ball still.
I guess for me, if we've been talking about week 1, if someone had asked me this question, it'd be like, oh, it's obviously Mooney but everyone is just now questioning Mooney because they played in a torrential downpour where he couldn't do anything. So I'm still going to roll with Darnell Mooney. He's the clear number 1 in that offense. I know it's not super exciting, but hey, the Bears won last week, and I think that they are just kind of playing with house. They're just going out and having fun. They're doing the slip and slide thing. So I like it.
Look, I'm starting Darnell Mooney, but I get it. I get where the head is at here for our friend Marcus. Let's go to SP, Chris Olave or DK Metcalf.
I'm starting DK Metcalf.
Same. Dirt Diggler. Question. Good tight end to stream if Kittle is out. You would like to know some
Gerald
names
Everett.
of the streamers. This Gerald Everett was one. Do you have another one out there? If someone dropped Cole Kmet, maybe.
Yeah, Cole Kmet, he's an option. I think Higbee,
I wonder if his roster percentage went down significantly. I didn't look.
It did. Because people were just even though it's just funny because it's well, you didn't do anything week 1, and it's well, I might as well just cut you, even though the process behind drafting Cole Kmet in the first place is still all the same. Nothing has changed because he should still have a lot of opportunity in the offense. So yeah, Cole Kmet I think is fine. Higbee I think is fine. someone dropped Hunter Henry in one of my leagues. I had to pick him up because I did not like my other tight end options. So if Hunter Henry
that's
got
fine.
dropped, yeah, he's another guy that I like in. I think deeper formats, Hayden Hurst if there's no T Higgins though.
I like the Hayden Hurst call too. That's another guy too. DK this week is super cheap. I know Debro and I are going to talk about that tomorrow. If you're looking for the DFS coverage here, by the way, we do that over live on our Twitter or Facebook. You can watch that live at 2 p.m. Eastern. Debro and I go through that. And if you miss it, if you go to fantasybros.com, they repost it over there. So you check that out. It's that DFS show we're doing live now on the video stream. Casey Garza, Gabriel Davis, or Michael Thomas for the flex and the half PPR. I'm still going with Gabriel Davis here. That's where I'm at. How about you, Andrew?
When you strike gold, you don't go away. You just keep playing Gabe Davis. Like we don't need to overthink this thing. When you play the guy and he hits, he does not leave your lineup. So you just keep playing Gabe Davis.
Well, in fairness, Thomas did hit too. He did have 2 touchdowns, but Gabriel Davis, I'll put my faith in Josh Allen first and foremost. Christopher Smith, PPR, start Travis Etienne or Mike Williams in the flex. I got to roll with Mike Williams one more time, right? Okay. Kevin McBride, Bateman, or Curtis Samuel in the flex in the PPR. Now, Bateman's got a tough one. Bateman is another prime buy low candidate in a couple weeks because he's got some tough corner matchups ahead of him in the next 4 weeks or so. I'd be all over him then. But in the meantime, this week, that doesn't help us. So Bateman or Curtis Samuel, how would you choose between these two?
Yeah, you're right. He does have a tougher matchup with Xavier Howard here against the Dolphins. So I think if I'm trying to bank some points, I think I'd probably just go with Curtis Samuel. I think especially at the flex, unless you're a big underdog and you need, like, obviously Bateman flashed like the bigger play upside last week with the long touchdown. Like Curtis Samuel, they're not really using him in that role. But I mean, Curtis Samuel had 14 touches or opportunities last week, and Bateman had 5. So just looking at who's going to get you guaranteed production no matter what, it's probably Curtis Samuel.
Kenneth Kennelty, pardon me, Kenneth. Is it time to sell Akers? And to anyone? Question mark. That's the question.
You can sell them to me.
Look, you can sell them. You're going to sell them cheap. So you have 2 ways you can go here. You can either hold them another week and it goes backwards, and then you've got no trade equity, or you can trade them now when there's some question still.
Well, I think he's already hit rock. I mean, how could things get worse?
They could get worse. 2 weeks in a row makes it worse. 2 weeks in a row makes it worse.
I don't know. I mean, but people have already assuming that he's basically the backup now.
That's fair.
So and he'll just be the backup
they're not
again.
though, because then there's people like you and me who weren't.
Yeah, but we're the rare breed, though.
We are special. That's what Chris keeps telling us. He says, guys, you two are very special. That's what he says all the time to us. So I know that. I think you can sell them, and just be careful of what you do here, and just get to, like, if I could offer you, let's say, Khalil Herbert for Cam Akers, would you take that deal?
Probably not, because Akers is the handcuff on a better offense.
Okay.
No.
Even though you think Herbert might take that job in 2 weeks and never look back, because I do.
I mean, it definitely could happen, but also his ceiling is still super limited because he's in the Bears on the
Jeff
Bears
Wilson,
offense.
Jeff Wilson or Cam Akers.
Well, yeah, we talked about this before. Someone did that trade, and depending on what you need, like if you need someone to start, then I think it makes sense. But if you are set at running back, I think that's if you're good at running back, like just get Akers on the cheap and be like, sick. I have a great handcuff running back with a ton of upside. If Henderson gets hurt, because Henderson gets hurt a lot. Last 2 years he's been hurt, so yeah, I think it just depends on your roster.
Bruin backhand, which two in a full PPR? Kamara, AJ Dillon, or Chase Edmonds? So you got to pick two. Who's Kamara's in, AJ Dillon's in, Chase Edmonds. I mean, this is not, come on, Bruin. Like, that's easy. I mean, that guy's not even in the same league. Mike Yu, hola. What's up, Mike? Sit 2, PPR, Najee Harris, T. Higgins, Henderson, Marquise Brown, and Sutton. Sit 2 of these guys. Well, I would sit Higgins because even if he does play, I'm worried about the health a little bit. Do you agree with that? Like, everybody else is healthy, theoretically. And then it comes down to Najee, Sutton, Hollywood, or Henderson. So who are you plucking out and putting on the bench of that group? It's a little tougher.
I'd probably sit. I mean, I feel like I want to sit Hollywood Brown because he had all the opportunity last week, and it was the Greg Dortch show.
Dude, let me tell you, I not completely, but half was kind of like rolling my eyes a little bit at Debro last week on the DFS show when he kept telling me about Greg Dortch. I was like, really, dude, really? And I've got lineups this week with Greg Dortch for 3,500 on DK this week. Like, locked and loaded, ready to go. I'm super excited. I'm stoked about it. I even picked him up in a super deep league.
It's interesting because he's playing the slot. If this is the role that Rondale Moore is going to have and if Rondale Moore had been healthy, we would have seen like Rondale Moore like breakout in week 1, but unfortunately it was Greg Dortch. Well, not unfortunate for Greg
Well,
Dortch.
fortunately for Debro, unfortunately for the
Yeah.
rest of us who didn't believe him. That's why you follow the stuff of your fantasy pros, man. I don't know what other team of experts and analysts were talking about Greg Dortch last week. Only this one, only fantasy pros. That's why you hang out here. Louis Herbert wants to know deep league and dealing with injuries. So forgive the question: Marvin Jones or Jaylen Warren? Now this is tricky because like one guy is going to play, X number of snaps. The other you don't. That's a tough one for me. So Andrew, how do you decide between that? You just take Jones or do you roll the dice with Jaylen Warren?
I mean, you can't play Jaylen Warren if Najee Harris is like active.
That's what I say. You got to play Marvin Jones still, which is
Yeah,
going
I
to
mean,
suck.
you're kind of just
But
like, okay, like what are the odds? So basically, you either need Najee Harris to get hurt, and then you have to have Jaylen Warren like play. And again, remember, he plays on a bad
Mhm.
offense. He's also not as good as Najee Harris, so you're also looking at potential downgrades. Whereas Marvin Jones, look, he plays a lot. A defensive back could fall down. He could score a long touchdown. Like I think that's more likely to happen than for Najee to get hurt, Jaylen Warren to come in, get touches, maybe score a touchdown. Like I feel like a lot has to go Warren's way, whereas Marvin Jones, like he's on the field, so that in itself gives him a better chance of scoring.
JD Etheridge has a question for the flex: Tyler Boyd, Jamal Williams, or David Montgomery?
Like
Gross.
I mean, I immediately go to David Montgomery because I think that he's the most volume potential here, but
I was waiting for
Jamal
the butt. I
Williams
knew there was a butt coming at the end of
Jamal
that.
Williams has a big role on this offense as
Mhm.
he's been operating at the goal line, and now we have Swift dealing with this ankle injury. Like we don't know like how significant that is, but they're not going away from Jamal Williams. Like he scored 2 touchdowns last week. David Montgomery, is he ever going to score? I mean, Khalil Herbert scored the touchdown last week, so I
Mhm.
think if you want to bank points, maybe David Montgomery's the play. But if in your flex, I kind of like taking more risk. I think maybe I go with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I think I would go with Jamal Williams too, so I'm glad there was a butt in that sentence. Logan A, full PPR, Cordero Patterson or Travis Etienne? I know Patterson had a great week. Are we going to chase that rainbow? What are we doing?
I think I have them ranked like. See, I always know when I have guys ranked back to back because I always like
Because you
whenever
struggle
someone
with
asks
it.
me the
Yeah, of
question, I'm
course.
like, and that means that I'm definitely like I'm synced in with my rankings. We have the automatic sync thing, but it's also synced to my brain. I think
I've
it's
got
ETN
Patterson
for
ahead of
me.
Travis Etienne just based on the volume. Not many.
I'm
It's 3 spots ahead. But
I need
I
to
have him at 19 and I have Etienne at 22.
mine is loading. The Fantasy Pros expert platform is loading. I
Well,
I,
it's
I do
because you
think
have so much energy involved in it that it takes longer to load your rankings, I believe.
in my heart of hearts, I believe that it is ATN that's ranked higher, but I will announce that once I get
You
there.
know,
Yeah, they're of course they're back to back.
but it's got to be. How do you put Etienne over Patterson right now? Like that's a tough sell for me. It really is. With
Yeah,
Robinson there, it's just too many variables. That's kind of where I'm at.
that's fair. And I guess I mean if Patterson is a starter, then yeah, I think that you're probably right. So
It's
yeah,
not
we'll go
like
with
Tyler
Patterson.
Algier is coming in and swooping in and taking these carries away anytime soon.
Yeah, that's true.
John Polanski wants to know, who should I start, DJ Shark or Donovan Peoples-Jones in the half PPR? Thank you. So John wants to know DJ or DPJ.
I'm going with Chark. He had a good game in week
He
1.
did.
I
He's a
like
good
Chark. And
receiver.
Peoples Jones, yeah, he had 11 targets and he also finished outside the top 40 wide receivers.
Him
Like
and DK Metcalf are going to have a target off this week. It's going to be awesome. Joseph Stepp, Zeke, Rashad Bateman, or Rashad Penny at flex full PPR. So Zeke, Rashad Bateman, or Rashad Penny. None of these are fun options. Do you just kind of roll with Zeke, even though it's a PPR? Because I
gross.
kind of feel like that's where we're
Not
going.
I'm not playing Zeke. Like
So you're
I
going to
don't
play Penny or Bateman over Zeke?
I drafted both those guys over Zeke. So I mean I know I drafted Bateman over Zeke. So I'll take Rashad Bateman. He is a good
All right.
quarterback. He is on a good team. Like I'll
Fair
just take
enough.
Bateman.
Jaron Necessary, Isaiah McKenzie, or Mecole Hardman in the dart throw of all dart throws in the full PPR. Where do you want to go, McKenzie or Mecole?
I'll go with McCole here. He got a lot of opportunities last week. He scored the touchdown. He actually had a couple more red zone targets. And look, McKenzie had an okay role. He was still kind of splitting time with Crowder. And the fact that, one of his passes got intercepted that he should have caught, don't love. He didn't see a lot of targets either. So I'll go with Hardman.
All right, this one has a little piece attached to it. So if Najee is out, Stud Field Mouse wants to know, do you play Jaylen Warren or Dameon Pierce? If Najee's out, I think you got to play Warren, right?
Well, yeah, because he's of the two guys that he is the starting running back for his team.
Exactly. So other one now, obviously, if he's not out, then you're playing Pierce, and
Yeah.
you're just kind of hating your life. Steve Erling wants to know CH or Michael Thomas. Let's do that one first. He's got two questions. Steve kind of snuck in two questions. So CH or Michael Thomas? Where do you go?
Michael Thomas.
Agreed. And Hunter Henry or Logan Thomas?
Hunter Henry.
Okay, there you go. You get one Thomas. That's it. One Thomas per question. BX Superman wants to know Matt Ryan or Jameis Winston. So you want to go safety safe, or you want to throw in Winston and see what happens against the Bucs defense? Bucs defense look pretty good. I'm with you. I think I'd rather just roll with safe Matt Ryan.
Yeah, dude, Matt Ryan's playing the Jaguars.
Yeah,
like the
come on,
team
guys,
that gave
let's
up the
go.
team that gave up the QB3 finish to Carson Wentz
Well,
last
let's
week.
let's run this scenario. Like if Michael Pittman's out for this game, which
Oh yeah, then
then
I
does that
wouldn't
change
touch
it? Do you go to Winston?
yeah. Because
Okay.
I mean, Matt Ryan has who's
So
he
that's what it
throwing
would
to?
be.
Like he doesn't have anyone else to throw to really. So no, I would go with Matt Ryan. I think. I mean, the Bucs defense is legit good, and I know the argument is always like, oh well, the Bucs like you have to throw. And it's like, yeah, the Cowboys had to throw. How did that work out?
You know, in all fairness, too, the Bucs you had to throw on them, but that was also when they had a ton of injuries last year. That secondary, people forget they had injuries. Like the
Yeah.
starting guys were average, but they were down to like the third and fourth corners playing the
Mhm.
ones and twos. I think people forget that, and that's why that narrative took hold. It's not the same narrative when all those guys are healthy. Now they're a little bit more league average. When we put the league average corners up against or should I say paired with that front, that's a big difference. That's a whole other story. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't think it's the same narrative, quote unquote, as last year. Just
I
want to throw that
mean,
out there.
after last week, I mean, who's the number one defense? I mean, the Bucs are they're up there.
And
like,
not to mention that they've got that schedule, in their division, which is pretty tasty in a lot of
yeah,
those matchups.
I'm
So
going. Yeah, I go with Matt
you
Ryan.
know how I felt about the Bucks D. Frederick Warren, flex PPR, Rashad Penny, Ramondre Stevenson, or Jahan Dotson. Frederick wants to know, you got Penny, Ramondre, or Dotson. Who would you start here?
I'll go
Feels
with
like Penny. Don't you
Yeah,
have
I'll
to
go
take
with
Penny?
I'll go with Penny. Yeah,
Yeah.
Penny's still.
Penny.
I mean, like Penny looked good when he got the
He
ball.
did.
And he's explosive. Like he's good. I mean, it does change a little bit if Kenneth
Mhm.
Walker is active. I think where I would maybe lean on Ramondre, but if Walker's limited and we're not getting full practices from him, I'd go with Rashad Penny.
All right, everybody, let's do a little countdown to like the stream. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Click the like button, like the stream. We helped everybody. We hope. Make some tough decisions. Of course, if you need more help, you can always go to fantasypros.com and go check out all of our great work there. We got our Start Sit podcast. It's going to be recording in less than a half hour. I know you're super excited. I am. So myself and Derrickson will be there trying to ask more of these important questions and help you get all your lineups ready. And if you need extra help, check out My Playbook. FantasyPros.com/MyPlaybook is the place to be. Like the stream, subscribe to Fantasy Pros YouTube, do all the things, win all the jerseys. Let's go, everybody. It's been super fun hanging out with you and talking football. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.